We good? Okay, so talking about replacing all of our cots. And how many cots do we have currently? How many Furno cots do we have currently?
11, sir.
Okay, so this is replacing 10, or is it
Replacing 11.
11? So we'd just be replacing everything that we have currently, and also putting,
So the loading
when we buy
system-
new ambulances, we'd be also putting the rail system in.
The loading system, yes, sir.
Right.
So any existing fleet that, so the existing fleet that wouldn't have the stretchers in it, they would have the loading system. So all ambulances would have the loading system, and then any new ones would also.
Okay. And so is this for, so 11 cots, is this for just 11 loading systems, or is it more?
14 loading systems,
14.
11 cots, and the maintenance agreement that would take it out for 7 years.
Okay. And that's the total of 591?
Yes, sir. And that would be spread interest-free over the 5-year payment. And then also in there, there's the PO for the buyback of the, or the buying of the current system that we have.
Does that include the buyback, the 591, or is that?
No, sir, that's separate.
Okay. So there'd be additional money coming back of,
Approximately, I believe it's 88,000, sir.
okay. So would it be safe to say that year one, we would be paying the 118 less the 88?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Is the 118 the right number, or so is 120?
It's actually 122, right?
Yeah.
122, 599.45
Yes.
minus,
So this is the total.
Where are you seeing that number at?
Installation.
Oh, this
page
is-
2, be 5 number of payment.
This also includes the installation, my bad. So,
Okay.
that's the total with installation.
Okay.
Is that the one we, I think we just got the email?
Oh, it was on the email?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
These are this first couple of pages.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So if you go on that first page, the annual payment would be
122,
122.
599.45.
Yes, sir. So what that includes is the 11 stretchers, 14 power loads, which is a loading system, a total of 7 years of maintenance and installation for all of them.
So we looked at them, was that last week?
A couple weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, and we had them side by side.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a totally different product. The ones we do have now, we unfortunately spend a lot of money on those two, but they're failing. This is gonna be better for employee health.
So they're approximately 50 pounds heavier, the current ones we have. Also last night, in my shift reports that our battalion chiefs send us, we had one that we had to take out of service last night because from an electrical, what they believe that there might have been an electrical fire in it from the charging system.
And with these, that would be fixed. We'd be getting a phone call within 48 hours, or somebody be here to service it. We have somebody,
Yes.
not like local Jeff City, but in Missouri that services it, so.
Yes, sir. Correct.
I thought we were getting the best of the best with the Furno, but it has not proven out to be so.
Did you speak with Dale on the, on any issues with MEM and the grant that they?
So I did. I have an email from them saying that they do not have any problems. What they'll do is they'll still track the grant part because it's a like system. And I forwarded that to Kristen, his email. He said he had no problem with it at all.
So, I mean, I don't like the fact that we made this purchase on these other cots, but anyway, I see that we would spend probably close to this. Well, we would spend a lot more than this, you know, this first year than the 122 less the 88. I mean, obviously, if we wait 2 or 3 years on the Furnos, we're gonna have maintenance costs, and then we're gonna have cots that aren't worth anything. And so,
How many do we have down right now? I mean, we're gonna,
So I
we're gonna have
believe it's-
ambulances sitting there
I
that we
believe it's
can't use
3
because we don't
currently.
have cots.
I believe it's 3 currently, so I
So-
know there's one sitting in our bay currently that's down, with a one that last night, I haven't gotten to the office yet. And then we had one that had been sent off, and I don't think we received it back yet.
and so, then we had also talked about some $31,000 for maintenance for some of the Furno cots that we would have to pay.
Yes, sir.
This
So
year, this next year.
That's correct. So if you took that amount, that what we're gonna be getting in the buyback, plus the amount that we would have to pay for that service contract, it would be not a wash, but a near wash, for this year.
I mean, roughly, those cots are $35,000, $40,000 if you buy them every year, plus, you know, rising costs as they go up, and so we would be spending $70,000 to $80,000 a year to replace the cots, and so, you know, and that doesn't include any maintenance contracts, so I really think we're talking about spending the same amount of money on a yearly basis.
For better product.
Yeah.
So what was the bill for the replacement wheel for that last Furno cot?
So for the wheel, they sent us
$353.
$353
Yeah.
or $343 for a rubber plastic type wheel that they said
And it
was,
took how long to get that?
4 to 6 weeks. I think it was 6 weeks that we waited for it.
So, yeah, so this is gonna be done in a couple days.
And
At
and
most.
those are the things that are covered under that service contract
Yeah.
with them,
So,
whereas Inferno, the
They
one
come
we have
in,
is not.
they fix it, put it on, provide the material or for the wheel or whatever, so, yeah.
And most of our stretchers our current ones are going out of warranty, and then are either out of warranty or going out of warranty in the next 6 to 7 months.
I mean, I think we move forward and replace them all. Go ahead.
Just before you vote, we need to do the sole source.
Okay. Thoughts?
Yeah, are we doing that, we gotta do that before the end of the year?
We gotta do that before we vote on this.
That's right.
No, I meant with this, we're doing that 2018. We're not gonna do this in 2019's budget, so we're,
If you're approving the contract today, you will need to do a transfer and get the money in there so we can encumber it.
okay. So we got that all covered, we know what we're doing on that?
And then we're encumbering the amount for year one.
Okay.
And then we could take,
So there will be, I mean, there will be the same amount in next year's budget, because I'm guessing the payments due annually, so if you have one payment right now, you're going to have another payment in December of next year.
so I asked that question specifically, and they said that it would be net 30. And so it would be next year when it would be due, right, so 19, and then the following year it would be 20. So I asked that specifically if it was gonna be due at time of order or after the fact, and they told me that it would be at that net 30, right? So we technically wouldn't have to pay it until that next fiscal year, so,
Well, that's fine, but signing the contract today to encumber the amount, it will have to go into 18's budget.
Right.
I'm fine with
PO
that.
can carry forward and
Right.
not be paid until January. But
Right.
it will also have to be in 19's budget to pay that PO.
Right.
So either way, it's gonna have to go in both years' budgets. Whether you pay it out this year or not, it still has to be encumbered in the fund this year since you're signing the contract.
So, and I understand that, but then, obviously, the trade-in would come back into their capital purchases and
So
also,
that same fund, yes.
okay. And then did you have the maintenance contract for Furno in your 19 budget?
no, sir, that was not in there.
Okay. So there wouldn't be any money coming back on that.
No, sir.
So how come we didn't put that in there?
It wasn't submitted, we don't have one.
Yeah, so it was, because we were headed down this path we
Okay.
excluded that.
That's fine. All right, I'm gonna shut up. What do you think?
So when we get a new ambulance and transfer them over to the new ambulance,
That's correct. That's one of the good things about this system is so as we start deadlining ambulances, we could take this system out. We would just have to pay a different install fee, right, $1,000 or $1,500 to have it put back into the new system. The new trucks though, so some manufacturers charge only $500 to have the system, right, basically the railing system installed, and then the power load when we would obtain it, we would just have it transferred over. It takes about 45 minutes or so to transfer it.
okay.
But they'll
Well-
all come pre-wired. The ambulances themselves will have pre-wired for it.
Okay. I don't think I have any more questions. I'm gonna move ahead with it. So we got sole source first.
You want to move ahead with replacing all of them, all 11 cots and the loading system?
Yeah.
Okay. That's where I'm at too. You got the sole source there, Debbie? Thank you.
It's still 2018, so I'll say yes to this one.
I'm still waiting for the no.
Oh, you got about 20 days, 25 days.
I move that we approve the sole source for Stryker Medical.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Jill, you reviewed this,
I have it here, the contract.
yeah,
Oh, I have it all tagged down.
okay, perfect.
Matt, when will we actually take this into possession and when will
But
we
Lynn
turn
needs to
in?
pick who gets assigned.
Physical possession is this year.
It's this year.
What am I doing?
Turn-in will be next year, because they gotta get installed.
I get signed?
And then it's half, and then 45 days later is the other half. is the way
Although,
that works.
I forgot he was.
If we're spending money, I like letting him sign.
Where
Yep.
it says Sam, that means
Just have
it
this-
should be Jeff.
Okay,
Have to strike that.
Okay.
I got the whole thing.
strike that.
We can do it.
There, customer
Yeah,
signature.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, for the, Jeff is signing the contract, I don't sign
Today,
We gotta-
5th.
Yeah.
We gotta vote on it first.
that. Right.
Jeff pulling the Sam and already signed
Yeah.
it.
I move that we sign the contract with Stryker for 11 cots, 14 loading systems, and
Okay, Sam does it.
Second.
And
maintenance contract.
installation.
And installation?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Where? Oh, okay. Sign
There
there,
again.
too.
This is why I like letting somebody else do this part.
Well, there's a lot of spots on this one.
And Jill, that's the one that's got the total.
That's not good. Sure.
Should be.
This is the last one for brokerage.
Go ahead, you're fine.
Okay, good.
All righty, I think I got them
You're
all.
done?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
thanks,
Thank
Mark.
you.
Okay, so Matt.
Welcome back.
You're gonna need to then phone her.
We'll update the rest of it.
Me
I
too.
was just
And then Matt's gotta ask you stuff, and then
reading about the stock market.
Steve and
back
I
down
don't know how
yesterday.
Stryker stock did.
Yeah, I saw that. There's just some
Gonna do better.
on this contract.
Right,
And
okay.
then I'll
We just,
Yeah, awesome. Yes.
We voted to replace all of them.
okay, good.
All right.
Did you hear me?
Thank you, gentlemen.
We voted to replace
Thank you.
all of them.
Yeah, we done, except for budget stuff.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
When will they start arriving next year?
As soon as I get that, back, hopefully today, or, I'll put it in our system, and then they're already aware that it was a possibility. So, we will have these here within a few weeks,
Okay.
before the end of the year.
Great.
Well,
Thank you.
thanks for
Thank you.
bringing them out for us to see. That helped.
Yeah, it's,
Thank you, looking forward to it.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, sir.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
If you guys wanna come down to training sometime, I'll be doing in-service for, I'm sure, a few weeks, so.
Okay.
Come on down.
All righty.
Let us know when you're doing that, so.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Come check
Thank
it
you.
out.
Thank you.
Okay, we want to start at the front and just work our way back, or how do we want to do
The
it?
easiest way to do it at this point,
We're gonna work out of the,
of course, is me. 25.
we're gonna work out of the book, or we're gonna work off the computer, or both,
I'm
or?
just gonna have it for you.
I think
Okay.
go in order of the book, and Debbie will go over that as we get to it.
Oh, my goodness.
You might want-
I'm gonna get rid of a cup of coffee. Kristen wants anything else this time? You said
And the answer's
No,
right?
no.
waiting for no.
Hey,
It's not, I'm not the one that needs to hear no.
you know, I did
That
find
email
out
thing.
how Cape Girardeau County's commissioner, emergency management is paying for his vehicle.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm gonna find out.
No.
I'm gonna find out. That, you know, that,
Well, all these other
Reception last night.
commissioners have vehicles.
yeah, I think so, whether it comes out of emergency
Do
management
they still have road districts?
I don't know.
or the
think
collector's
that's why
office or
some of them do.
something, it's.
I don't know, I just see all these commissioner vehicles and
Oh, yeah.
commissioner license plates and
Yeah.
everything else, so.
Yeah, we feel
A lot of
left
times they have
out.
more than one. I think old Clint, he's got a Suburban.
Well, we had,
Clint from Cape Girardeau.
yeah, it's, yeah, Trish had, that was really interesting, that young man.
I'm like, it feels dark in here.
Okay,
Okay,
what page are we gonna start on?
25.
25.
So there won't be any bonds or insurance coming out of yours?
We're hoping to get those paid before the end of the year, so
Okay.
it would get paid this year for 4 years.
Okay.
And will you reach out to Dot Knot? They're the only ones I'm waiting on. I received Chico and, everybody.
What's her name again?
Joyce? Joyce?
The only increase in your budget looks like it's salaries.
Right.
Okay.
We tried to reduce what we could, so we dropped mileage a little bit, and that bond came out, so.
I don't have any issues with the
No.
auditor's budget.
No, I don't either.
So next up is collector.
Obviously, we're gonna talk about salaries later, right?
Yeah, well, I figured we'd do all the salaries at one time.
That's fine.
So we had to take a mandatory reduction in our tax rate because of the rollback. So you see taxes went down some,
Where are you at here?
page 27,
Right?
top of the page. So
Okay.
taxes is property taxes. We're about 1.4 this year was projected. We're expecting next year to be about 1.2. But Larry's fees will go up slightly again due to the increase in the school district's tax rates.
can we talk about that a little bit? I mean, obviously, the rollback affected the tax rate, but we have more property that should have come on this year. So I don't understand why our revenues are going down.
I don't really think they offset each other, and we don't always collect 100% of the taxes we charge.
Well, when we go to figure out what the rollback is, we have to actually look at what the assessed value is. And then we go back to the year before to see if our sales tax guess was right, we had to add more. It should balance out, but it's not gonna balance out. It's supposed to
Well-
level each other out, but
well,
not in the
so-
same year.
So you're seeing the increase in sales tax though, so the
Right.
transfer in line in Larry's budget is the sales tax coming in,
Okay,
and you're seeing an increase in that line,
okay,
but they don't offset exactly.
all right.
I mean, the total amount's not going to be exactly the same in both,
So,
just because of a timing issue.
so you're down about 140, is that right?
And we use Debbie's calculation as far as what she uses to determine what the tax rates would get us. So when she talks to you about the levy,
Right.
she kind of tells you what the increase or decrease in total taxes is gonna be. We've kind of plugged that into what we actually brought in and reduced it by the amount we're expecting. It may be more than that, because we do have those delinquencies and things like that.
And so, my concern is that as the county grows, our revenues are not growing. So obviously, our revenues on Larry's side, on what he's collecting, are down 140,000. The rollback is only increasing by 74,000. And so, I mean, I get what you're saying, and that they're not offsetting, but at the same time, we're limiting our ability to grow the revenue coming into GR.
Well,
I mean, it's never growing.
so
And
we've
it should be
taken,
growing yearly.
well, we've taken a very conservative approach when we're doing our sales tax figures in the budget. We have decided that we only take the increase that we have received in the current year in our projection for the next year.
Okay,
So we're holding it flat at the end of the year, saying we're only going to budget what we know we received the previous year. We're not estimating any growth in that sales tax figure in the budget itself. So we're kind of doing it to ourselves. So we've been seeing about a 2% increase
Less than that, but yeah.
in
Average.
sales tax, but we're not projecting a 2% increase. We're projecting it flat.
Based
right.
on actual, right.
Right, we're
Yeah.
we're only growing it for what we grew in the previous year.
Correct.
Right, but so then I look down at total estimated revenues, which should take all this into account.
Yep.
And there's maybe a few other little things in there but when I look at 17, it's 6.197 million.
That's a projected figure.
No, 17.
Actual
Yep,
activity.
17 should be, we should have hard numbers on 17.
yes,
And then your projections for 18 should be pretty close.
Cash versus accrual.
right.
Am I wrong?
Well, so the activity in 17, you're seeing accrual numbers. The numbers in 18, you're seeing cash numbers.
And 19, what just made, yeah,
There's differences in accounting, so we do accrual basis for our financial statement. So once we've completed the year and done our audit, our previous figures are accrual basis. So you back out January, February, and you
Right.
add in the following year's January and February to get what the tax year was, not what the calendar year was.
and any bills that were due in prior year, go back to that year. So it's kind of hard to compare cash basis to accrual basis, is what I guess we're saying.
Especially in his department, because there is a large amount of difference there.
Well, I guess what I'm asking is that, I mean, different forms of accounting, but I mean, if you could see the same accounting and you could see the activity growing, but if it's staying flat with increase in sales tax, there's a problem there.
What's the use tax bringing in? Because when we were at MAC, I mean, Miller and some of those counties we're talking, they're seeing like a 40% increase
Our use tax
on
is
use
up
tax.
quite a bit. It's in 127 though. It's not
Right.
in
Okay.
Larry's budget.
Okay.
So we'll get to that.
But
Okay.
these are I mean, the use tax is kind of self-sufficient, I mean, but
Well,
This-
it
this-
varies a lot more than
There's no way to.
than any other tax, because there's no, it is self-reporting, and it's based on usually larger purchases. So there is not a good way to predict use tax.
Okay.
I mean, it
You would
it
think
varies
it would
from year
follow
to year, so
sales
you could have
tax.
a really good year in use tax, and the next year have a really bad year. Some of the construction and things that we have going on right now, we usually see a spike with that construction. So like the new school being built and things
Right.
like that, when the new Walmart got built, we will see it drop back off.
And you would think it would follow sales tax?
The-
No way. It hasn't ever followed sales.
Not growth.
I mean, my concern is that if we see a lot of growth in the county, say, next year, and we keep offsetting the rollback from the sales tax for our revenues, I mean, we're not growing GR, or we're not growing this portion. I mean, we're offsetting the amount of taxes collected by the rollback from EMS. And if that number continues to stay flat, how do we function? I mean,
Then the rate doesn't go down as much, so then you would get more taxes in.
right, but, so if we look at 17 and we're at $6.2 million, and we're not growing 18 by a minimum of 2% or whatever the tax rate is, I mean, then there's a problem. I mean, I realize how we budget, we're budgeting flat, but if we had 2% in sales tax growth for 18, for the whole year, we should see 2% in growth in the total revenues here. But I don't think that's happening. I think that we're staying pretty flat. I mean, I think we're just a total offset, and so we never see any growth.
Well, so our budget for 18 was in the sales tax that's coming into general fund was 3,766, and the projection at the moment is 3,802, or 3,831 actually, because we've updated it since we
Right.
projected the first time. So you are seeing growth there.
But it's being offset by the taxes collected.
But really, our assessed valuation from year to year, from 17 to 18, the way we figured, was less than 1%. So there wouldn't be any growth there either, much of none, if we didn't have the rollback going on, is what I'm saying. Those are the percentage it goes up. So the assessed valuation, it also depends on who pays and who doesn't, I get that. But our assessed valuation didn't go up that greatly. It's less than 1% here. So if that was going up a lot more and we didn't see the money in, I would say that doesn't work. But, so, I think it balances itself out. I understand what the rollback does, but, yeah, it gets bad when some counties depend solely on sales tax instead of property tax. That becomes very risky for that county. Us, it's not as much, we're not doing, we are keeping up with the sales tax.
You are still sales tax dependent at the moment.
Right,
But
Well-
we had $10 million in growth,
not as much as some counties. Uh-huh.
right? Where's
That's just-
where's the extra money? That's where I'm at.
Well,
So go to your spreadsheet for your,
rollback.
well,
We can move
your
on if
rate,
you guys want. I mean, I don't want to dwell on this forever, but
when you did your tax rate stuff for them.
This is all of them. to use the personal property, so 114, 104.
1409.
1409 to 1414. Which is what that spreadsheet showed. So that's less than a 1% increase. 0.07.
Well, when you're talking cents on the dollar, it's not that large of an actual
Oh, no,
dollar increase.
It's not, compared to,
Million divided by 100 times the general fund rate.
I think we ended up with $51,000 difference. You know, if we wouldn't
In
have
total
rollback.
taxes, yes.
I think I wrote it somewhere. I usually write it to the, sorry. Usually write it to the side here, so. There. Well, ours actually went, you know. I don't know if that was a playing around one or not. See, even for Road and Bridge, it was like $41,000 difference.
More, yes.
Yes.
So-
So that's the one you could look at.
Yeah, so the total and assessed valuation for Road and Bridge, who didn't see a rollback,
Kept the
their,
rate the same.
yeah, their rate stayed the same. They only saw an increase in actual dollars of 41,000.
So it's. And that's if everybody pays.
Yes, that's if 100% of the people pay.
Yes. Which Larry, I'm sure will make them pay.
I mean, so, I mean, I think the rollback is great. Not in favor of raising taxes, but I don't know how we take on more streets and we build more streets and we maintain more streets and we get $41,000 a year more. I mean, and GR's the same way, we're getting even less, so.
Well, you have to take into consideration too, that there were multiple years where we took a voluntary reduction. Road and Bridge, we have not been growing their tax rate by the ceiling. We've been taking a voluntary reduction,
And that lowered our ceiling.
and that lowers our ceiling, so every
Every other, yeah.
even or odd, I don't remember. It takes our ceiling back to that point completely. So if you're not building in that inflation and going to the ceiling, you're kind of holding that tax. You're not increasing it, you're not moving with inflation, you're holding the tax at the same rate.
Yeah, I mean,
Not gonna happen.
I guess my comment is, I mean, I don't want to grow government, but at the same time, we can't keep rolling back things, because otherwise there's not enough funds to fund government. I mean, and if we're taking on more roads, like the Parkview subdivision and some of these other roads, we're taking on more road miles, we can't keep maintaining those with just a little bit of money to take on more roads. So, you know, I think it's something that we have to really think about. I'm not saying we need to do something different, but when the economy's growing and our funds aren't growing, that becomes an issue. I mean, at some point, GR can't give raises to their employees because we don't have additional funds to do it.
Those voluntary rollbacks that the county took, we'll never get those back.
It was a vote of the people, so it'd have to
I'm
go.
talking
Oh,
about the
no,
voluntary.
the voluntary ones that we took, it will grow again, but
Yeah.
if you
Can't
take
go
one,
back.
I can't remember if it's an even numbered year or an odd numbered year, one of the two. If you take a voluntary reduction, it reduces your ceiling by that amount
Going forward.
going forward.
But the rollback this year was not a voluntary one.
No, it was the one because of the terminology in the ballot language. It is not considered a voluntary.
And it is cheap.
A voluntary would be if you rolled it back and you took more of a rollback than you
Right.
were required to.
We did that in a couple of years.
Yes, you took a voluntary reduction.
But we've not done that in Road and Bridge.
You
We
used
did
to,
years
because
ago.
you
We
held
did.
it at
We did.
27 for
Right.
a long time.
Yeah.
So in those those years when you held it at 27, you were taking a voluntary reduction. And we're seeing some of those effects now because of the taxes that Larry collects that are delinquent. You're seeing those delinquent rates still being at a lower rate, so it's kind of compounding itself. Because you're still seeing the effects of those because he's collecting those years that we took voluntary reductions at a lower rate.
Based on that rate of that year.
So I mean, my concern is with the ballot language at some point. We keep reducing the taxable amount through the rollback. At some point, I think the taxable amount will be zero and everything will be done through the rollback.
Sales tax keeps growing, yes.
So there will be no, I mean, the tax rate for GR for everybody will be zero. And you can't go beyond zero. But then you're then you're in that situation that you talked about is we're 100% sales tax reliant.
Yeah.
And we're zero
And GR.
taxable reliance. So I think that becomes the issue. So if the sales tax tanks in that year or something happens, it could really affect us in a negative manner.
But
But
if it keeps growing.
well, if sales tax would tank, in the next year, you would property tax again.
The levy would have to go
It would
up.
have to go back up.
But if it became
Well,
more, that would be
but
the
you're-
issue.
But you're behind.
But, and I see what you're
Right,
saying.
there is a timing issue, so we saw quite a windfall at the beginning when we implemented this because of the timing difference.
Yes.
The rollback does not take effect until the end of the year when you're doing property taxes, whereas the sales tax kicked in at the beginning of the year. So if you would ever go the other way, we would have to pay that back in because of the timing difference going the opposite direction.
Well, I mean, so technically if we got to zero, it could go probably below zero. I mean, actual tax rate, not that you would refund it, but, I mean, so,
We just wouldn't set a levy.
Right, you just would not settle it.
right. But I mean, even though it did tank, you still may not get to where you're taxing people.
There could be a year there coming back too, if the sales tax came back up. I get what you're saying, it's all about a philosophy of whether you put the tax on the property or you put the tax on every citizen in this county buying something.
So I just think something for us to think about. Obviously, we've gone from, where were we at, 35 cents?
Yeah, 30, up to 33.
We were at 35 cents per $100 evaluation. And we have rolled it back and we're close to a nickel, 6 cents,
So,
7 cents. I mean,
Yeah.
just food for thought, and I'm not saying we need to do this, but anyway, at some point, we need to stop it. I mean, when we get to a nickel or whatever, it needs to stop.
I think the only way to stop that at the moment would be going back to a vote of the people, because right now, the ballot language that they approved is a 60% rollback of property taxes because you have the half cent sales tax.
Right.
So in all reality, it should be evening itself out. You should be collecting as much sales tax as you rolled back in your property tax. But there is a timing difference. We're estimating what we think we're going to collect in sales tax when we set our levy.
And then we go back and what we did, we make those adjustments.
Right. So you have to do an adjustment on the next year for what it actually came out as compared to what you estimated it to be.
So I see it this way, so obviously, we keep rolling back and everybody else keeps adding.
Yes, I agree, other levies,
Yeah.
fire,
So, school district, fire district, everybody keeps adding to the levy, and we keep going back. And that's great, but at the same time,
Those
We
places
need-
are not collecting sales tax either.
right, true.
true, at the same time, if those two numbers aren't growing every year, there's a problem.
Well, so one of the issues with the calculation this year was last year at the end of the year in December, they sent us a supplemental tax revenue distribution. So we got $1 billion some
Yeah. I
in
estimate,
December
Mhm.
beyond what we normally would have gotten in 17. We expected that was additional things because they were behind in processing and things like that. That we were gonna get our normal distribution in January. Come to find out, our distribution in January was less by that $1 million because they distributed it early. So in the calculation this year,
200,000.
the amount that we had to use for our 17 total was inflated by that $1 million. We are going to turn around this year, and I'm expecting to be about $1 million less because of that supplemental that came in at a different time.
But then again, I estimated based on the first 6 months, so I should be estimating right next, well,
No,
it'll
because,
still be off.
yes,
And then the
so-
next year, yeah, it should be.
so that supplemental distribution of taxes is not helping the situation.
Well,
But it's a good thing to be thinking about, you're right.
I mean, if the legislature were to ever tax online sales, you'd see that number go to zero in a hurry. I mean, if they'd ever get local sales tax put on online sales, that tax number would be zero.
Would that go to use tax or would it go to sales tax?
It'd be a sales tax.
Sales tax versus use tax?
I don't know, it's gonna depend on how they determine how they would do that.
I think there's already been some legislation introduced.
Is it sales or use tax?
I think it's sales tax. I got something on it yesterday.
Yesterday. I haven't looked through all of yesterday's yet.
I mean, I get it, and my wife and I have had that conversation, and she buys stuff on Amazon too, and, you know, it's tax-free, and I think that's a crock. I mean, yeah, it's a benefit, but people aren't reporting that on use tax. And even at that, we're still not getting it for EMS, for sheriff, or road and bridge. I mean, do those people use that stuff in this county? Yeah, they do. They should be paying it.
Yeah, well, if that works, then this will go down to zero very fast.
I mean, it's unfair to
then
local
people-
retailers too.
Oh, yeah. I know.
So,
But then most people would think, well,
But
I ain't
so-
buying
so-
stuff online because it's tax-free. I buy it because it's convenient. Do you have cab lights for a 2008 Dodge truck in your store?
Yeah, it's in the basement.
I mean,
I know what you're saying.
No, I
but
don't,
mean,
yeah.
I don't do it because it's
It is a
tax-free. and I
convenience.
wish they would just put the taxes on
And,
there.
Right.
and for the consumer.
But I would hope they can get that fixed because I don't have a problem
Yeah.
with it.
So, I mean, as long as sales tax is increasing and it increases to the point where our property tax is zero, we're still coming out ahead because you're still collecting more money than you would have. It would be if we ever saw it go back down, that would be where it would hurt us because of, especially the timing difference and whether or not it actually got us to the point where the property tax kicks back in.
At some point, I just like, I mean, obviously, there's some things in there where distribution payments in different years, but I mean, it'd be nice to see that, say, 14, we were at 5.5 million total, 15, we were at 5.7 million total. Get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
that
just
there
hard
is
to-
an increase in either property taxes or sales tax, or both, or the combination.
The hard part is that
It's not the same year.
so you have the people that pay delinquent. So, you know, I could go in and tell you this was our total assessed valuation. If we charge the 35 cents, which is our ceiling, this is the amount I would have collected. That may not actually be the amount that I would have collected because I'm collecting delinquent taxes as well. I'm not collecting 100% of that assessed valuation amount. So it's hard to determine at this point, I mean, we could give you an estimate of what it would be, but that's not going to be a clear picture of, hey, this is what we would have collected in taxes and this is what we wouldn't have.
I'm just
And then-
saying, I mean, you're gonna have a certain amount of delinquent taxes you're gonna collect every year, and it may be at different tax rates, but, I mean, in 15, we collected X, in 16, we collected X. I mean, there's gonna be some anomalies when you get a disbursement that's early. It's gonna affect some things, but.
Well, that's true, but we also write off taxes every year. So we have a certain amount of taxes that we write off of our books every year.
Well, wouldn't those all stay pretty consistent?
They have
Somewhat.
been, we're between, I'd say, 2.5 million, 3 million delinquent every year.
I mean, in the rollback calculation, there is also a 2% adjustment for that allowance for people not paying. So, I don't know, what is that, 2%, or how much is that? Delinquent, that is.
Probably fairly close to 2%. You're collecting about 97-98% of taxes, so
Right.
2%
If that
is
difference-
probably
If that
fairly
difference
close.
switches, I mean, some county probably have a bigger delinquency than 2%.
That's really not bad.
No,
So then
It
that's
really isn't.
It
still
was 5
balanced.
million when I started as collector, so it's going.
But you also have somewhere between 3 to 5 years to pay your delinquent taxes.
On personal property, we don't write it off till after 5 years.
Right.
Where Skip was writing them off after 3 years. Real estate,
3.
we put it up for sale on the 3rd year, so it's pretty much 100% collectible.
So, I get it.
Okay, done.
Anything else in the collector's budget you want to talk about?
Postage is going up, I guess.
Yeah, it will be.
It did. It did, and it probably will again.
Yeah, it's going up.
We should buy all our stamps now.
I think in January it's going up again.
Get the forever stamps.
Is that just
Stock up
mailing
on
out?
it.
What's that, mailing out tax bills?
Tax bills, delinquent tax notices,
We did have a change in the way you did your delinquent notices. He used to run them through the machine and it didn't get charged to you. Now it is because you're mailing them through someone else.
no, I think we still do the delinquent ones here.
I thought somehow we were charging you for like, the next,
I have to look and see.
okay. But we don't get that bill until the end of December, so you'll see the 17,823 was what he spent in 17. We only budgeted 17,444. So we're also projecting that it's going to increase again, so.
Oh, that's revenue.
Okay. And the tax maintenance funds, like Larry's
Yep,
discretionary fund.
yes.
Good.
Treasurer, again, the amount that his office has beyond salaries is fairly small. And it did increase slightly. Communications are up a little bit and publications are up.
So you wanted to cut publications, Drexel? Wall Street Journal.
I pay
I'm
for,
not sure
I
that that's necessary.
I pay for my own.
I'm not sure that that's necessary.
Yeah.
No, I sat in my office and was reading about the stock market yesterday, and treasury notes went down.
It has increased quite a bit since we started paying for that.
Is that all the publications that he gives? Is that?
Yeah.
I wait and let it expire, and then they come up with all the stuff. I think it ends up costing me about $400 a year.
And then under him,
46.
under him is also the school fund and the tax overplus, which is on the next page, but
I would think that he would have other publications that he would read or whatever, but he's looking at me like that for.
Some of those he might
Scooby-Doo.
I didn't say anything.
I thought we took it out last year.
So what's the,
You
what's
probably
the?
need to decide now though, so we can cancel it before
Yeah.
the first of the
What's-
year.
What's the school fund?
School fund is fines and penalties charge that Donnell brought up yesterday, so.
That she gives the county.
That she gives the county, it actually goes to the schools. So, he collects that and financial institution tax, he does a one-time distribution of those. Well, financial institutions in December and in January, and then fines and penalties is once a year, distribution to the school district. And then tax overplus is the money that Larry collects over and above the taxes owed on properties that he does on the tax sale. After a certain amount of time, that gets put into the school fund and distributed as well.
How'd they get all that?
There's not much they can do, except for give it back out.
So when you say the schools, I mean, it goes to all the schools?
It does, the clerk has a calculation that they do on fines and penalties, and the distribution of the taxes is set by the state. They send it to us and tell us what each school district gets.
On your tax bill for commercial property, there's like a separate line item.
Surtax.
Yeah, surtax. So why does that goes to schools too, doesn't it?
No, it's the convoluted calculation that we got ourselves in trouble with a few years ago, that we were calculating it incorrectly. So it takes like the 1984 amount that you were paying in property taxes and how much you were collecting in each district, and then it takes that times the 58 cents is the levy.
It's a statute, or a
Yes,
statute that was
yes.
passed at that time.
When does that go away?
I don't think.
there is a go away. It replaced the personal property tax on commercial businesses. They now pay a surtax instead of.
I learned way more about that about 10 years ago than I ever wanted to
Yes.
know.
Has it been
And
that
I've
long?
forgotten it since, so.
So what do you mean it eliminates personal property on businesses?
So like instead of them paying for like the machines or whatever, I think that were inside of like a manufacturing, they now pay a surtax instead of a separate, I don't know.
So they pay a percentage of the.
It's a separate levy, so it's like
Based on
58
what the
cents.
taxes was then, right?
Right,
But so,
but it changes from year to year on what your percentage of that is. It's a fun, long, involved spreadsheet.
so
of how you
commercial
track it.
businesses are still paying personal property tax on equipment?
I think it's a difference between what the type of equipment is, like, I
Okay.
don't know that it's not like a truck or
Right.
that kind of thing, I'm
But
not
it,
exactly
but it probably
sure.
doesn't include big manufacturing machinery, I'm
Probably not.
guessing.
Probably.
Okay, because I know certain businesses, you know, buy $5 or $6 million machine, they're taxed on that.
I'm not exactly sure what the requirements
Larry,
are.
yeah.
Yeah, he could give you a better, I've tried to
Okay.
block out the certain stuff other than that.
Okay.
What we had to pay back.
Election service fund,
So,
is that?
county clerk
Steve's-
first.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
33,
Jeff, quit listening.
he did get a grant that we did not have the information for when the budget was proposed. I'm still not sure I have the paperwork from him, so there will be some have a grant funds that need to go into his budget yet. They were waiting on paperwork from the state.
That'll be revenue coming in then.
Revenue coming in and expense going out, it'll be in that HAVA expense line. He has some HAVA fees that he collects as well that go through that HAVA expense line, but, some of the big things in his budget is gonna be, equipment service contract.
Yeah.
This will be the first year that we're paying for maintenance on the voting machines.
Wow. Is that for all of them?
Yes.
Is that,
We also pay for half of the poll pad maintenance out of there. And it's copier, so there's, I think, 3 different things was $3,000, it's going to 17.
I thought we shared that cost with the maintenance before.
I'm a little confused anyway. So each election, they charge each district a usage fee for the machines and poll pads.
Where's that money go?
So they're splitting it at the moment, and part of it's going into our HAVA fees, and part of it's going into his election services.
Election Service Fund?
So he does pay for half of the poll pads maintenance out of the election service fund. We pay for half. Like I said, this will be the first year for the maintenance on the machines, and I'm not exactly sure if we're getting 100% of that fee, or he is, or.
So where's the payment for that out of the Election Services Fund?
They really only have one expense, that general government.
Okay.
I mean, all of
So it
theirs
just
are
all
grouped
falls in
together,
there?
yeah.
Okay.
And I do know that the rental for the place across the street, he is paying that, I think, out of half expense on that.
Yeah,
Out of HAVA or out of his Election Service Fund?
Nope, have it. Yep, there it is.
So when you say he's got in the Election Service Fund under General Government, he's got,
Half of the poll pad maintenance.
right. But he's requested to spend $86,759.
So in those smaller funds, like the tax maintenance fund and election service fund, they get to spend everything they have. So pretty much their budgets work a little differently. You put in their cash forward, their estimated revenues, and then the expense side is everything that they have to spend is in there. So, I mean, you could have an elected official that spends the total amount of their fund every year if they really wanted to.
All right. When his fees are down at 19, is it based on how
So
much?
the normal fee that goes into election services is 5% of the election costs. So he only has one election next year. So our,
Fluctuates.
right. So this year he would've got 5% of 4 elections. Next year he'll only get 5% of 1 election.
we only have one election next year.
I think April so far is.
Hmm.
Now, that could change, but that's.
Mhm.
I think that he could pay for some of that maintenance out of that Election Services Fund, but for all of the maintenance and his rent. Anything else in his?
Oh, I think those were the big things.
Like a lot of his budget went down, actually.
So.
Budget
he-
items.
He wasn't very happy with me, I did cut some of them back. It should be a light election year, so you would expect some of their supplies and things to be down. They did say they needed to buy stuff for the following year to kind of stock up, and I told them if they had money right now to restock with what they have.
He didn't have any objections.
No. And I did check on their rental over there, you know, it's climate controlled, but I've had people in the store who are going to learn to be election officials, you know, and it is handy being there. Now, maybe when Brian moves, you know, maybe we could move it over here or something like that, but it is, convenient for, you know, Marla and them to go over and give them training. And I guess these machines are kind of temperamental, so you really do need,
Climate control.
yeah.
So next budget is neighborhood improvement districts. You'll see quite a bit of changes to it from last year to this year, just because we finally added Randall Drive in there, Parky Meadow. a bit of upfront expenses for the closing costs and things on those properties, but now it should settle down and should be fairly similar to what you're seeing for 19 as far as annual payments and things like that.
So that's all the revenue coming in from those different projects, from the bonds, I guess?
The revenue is what they will pay on their taxes as a special assessment.
Okay.
And then the expense side is our interest and principal payments, and then we pay an fiscal agent fee once a year, usually on each one.
All the other stuff really came out of, other funds. I think Road and Bridge, we ran it through both
Sales tax.
sales tax. So all the expenses to the contractors and such.
So then how does the debt service, that just pays on the bond then?
Yeah, so those are our payments on the bonds.
So we'll bring in about 106,000 and then we'll pay out.
The 108, so we have to balance the budget. There is a little bit of a cushion built into some of those payments to make it work out evenly as far as payments are concerned.
And in case somebody doesn't pay their taxes.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Does, when will some of these start falling off?
We will have two fall off, I think, next year, I think 2019 or 2020. And then I think we have one that's 2021 or 2022. So we'll be back down in the next 5 years to Parkview and Randall.
Did we have anybody pay all their taxes all at once, or?
We did have a
On
few
those
people.
two last projects.
Yeah, we had quite a few on Parkview Meadows, probably 10 or so.
Hmm.
One.
One.
And they're locked in now, so they only had a certain amount of time that they could pay it up front, and now they're locked in the annual payments.
And so that gets paid before the financing happens, so that it's still stretched out over so many years.
Yeah, the interest is already figured, so they can't pay it off early.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next is your guys' budget, mission.
Need more of an expense account.
And then financial institution tax is really just an in and out account. Cities and fire districts that receive financial institution tax, it gets paid to us, and then we distribute it back out to them. So we're really just kind of a pass-through.
Does that go to school districts again, or?
The schools goes into the school fund. This is mainly fire districts and cities. And then you'll see ours actually goes into 127 and,
Stays there.
Road Bridge.
So the 80,000 that gets distributed to various, we get
Fire
part of that?
districts and cities.
No, we don't get part of that.
No, ours is in 127.
It's
So
already
you'll see
received.
our portion is receipted in our funds.
Okay.
This is just the portion we have to take in and pay back out, other than the schools, which goes into the school fund.
Okay.
Domestic shelter, there's not a lot there. That's the fees we collect that we distribute to rats. And they did complete their paperwork to get qualified to get that again.
Okay.
So recorder fees. So you guys talked to Judy yesterday. She did have some changes to, I think she wanted to add another full-time position. Maybe pay half and you pay half. If you guys, I don't know if you want skip over hers first and talk about hers when we talk about salaries, or if you want to.
Well, I guess there's a backlog on putting some of them books together or whatever.
Well, I think the big thing is the index, so that you can search some of the stuff that is scanned or.
Right, but can Can we do that with part-time people, temporary part-time people? If it's just a backlog, we just gotta get the stuff caught up. It's not a,
So I posed that same question to her, and I think the concern is that most of the time, someone's not looking for that kind of part-time job. So they're bringing in them, showing them how to do it, and then they get offered something full-time and they're not staying. So they're spending all their time training somebody how to do it, but not actually getting anything accomplished, because by the time they would get them trained up,
yeah,
they
and I
would
don't
go take a
disagree with
full-time
that.
job somewhere else.
But anytime we add a position, it is so hard to try to eliminate it later on. And, you know, nobody really is gonna come up and say, hey, you know, I don't really need this position. This person's leaving, I'm not gonna fill it. You know, you're gonna fill it because when you do need it, you want it.
I mean,
Or when you want it, you need it.
I think you could structure that to be more of like we do with a grant. I mean, I'm gonna fund this for this project, and it's a year-to-year funding for the project, and once your project is completed, the position is no longer needed. But,
How well does that work with Circle?
right, that,
Yeah, with
that's the
microfilm.
perfect example.
Yeah. I mean, I'd
And theirs is a part-time.
Yeah, and now we got two.
I'd almost rather she subcontract.
Well, it depends. That would be, are we directing the work? You know, that would be an issue, or are they
Right.
really an employee, or are they really a subcontractor?
But I mean, if it's a, you know, putting a book back together that's got historical data and stuff in it, I mean,
I think that she has to contract.
I don't
This
think
is-
we could do that. I
This
think,
is taking the digital files that they got
Yeah.
from somebody else and make sure they're in the right order, and then indexing it so you can go and search them later.
well, maybe there's a, I mean, is that part of some of her software that utilizes some of that?
I don't know.
I mean, that could be like a DevNet or somebody else that may have expertise in doing that we could contract with them to do some of that. Where did the, what's this state reimbursement recorder user 25,000 come
That's,
in?
that's the $2, so like, when they created the Recorder's Trust Fund, there's $2 that's a county fee, and there's $2 that's a state fee.
I see.
We used to run it through the Recorder's Trust Fund, and I approached them all and said, you know, all of our other in and out fees run through the general fund.
Okay.
Take it out of this, and this is only your discretionary funds, we're not making that in and out payment out of the discretionary fund, so it got moved. So you'll see both sides. You'll see a revenue for 25,000, and then down at the bottom, you'll also see the expense for 25,000.
Okay.
It is literally a $2 fee that comes in and gets paid out.
So we collect it and the state gets it. Nice.
That's what it is there.
Yeah, 'cause I was thinking
I'm telling you, you just gotta charge an administration fee for collecting it.
Yeah, something.
or you
Here's-
can put it
here's your
in
check.
30 days in the treasurer's
Hang on
note.
to it for a while.
Yeah,
We'll pay them,
Pay-
the
yeah, the
same
way
rate
they
they
pay,
pay us.
Yeah.
the way they pay
Yeah,
for the
way-
jail.
the power jail.
Yeah,
Hell, we would get any of their taxes 2 months later.
So she didn't have any part-time in this budget.
So,
Is that what's-
so the MOU is kind of up in the air. That was the MOU before, was a
What's a
part-time
part-time?
person that was funded out of the Recorder's Trust Fund.
And that was a 4,000 coming in personnel services.
Well, so Ralph hadn't been using it. He actually had 15.
Yes,
Right.
15.
So he had 15,754 to use and was not utilizing it. So that 15 plus the 14,610 in part-time and the benefits on that should balance itself out.
So she collects about $60,000 in her fees, her fund every year. Is that right?
Well, it used to not be that high, but with the addition of the online stuff, it's increased some.
Right.
And that's all the fees are going in there, and it's supposed to be used for maintenance. I don't know if we got much maintenance coming out of there, none. So really, maybe that money should be coming over to GR. I'm just saying. If we're not gonna spend it on the maintenance.
Well, so one of the things that I noticed is that GR subsidizing it about $13,000 a year, so I think it should balance. She's collecting the fees. Is that right? That's what you got at the bottom.
What,
Just the difference
Oh,
between
you
revenues
mean-
and expense.
so that 13,000 though doesn't include, because the maintenance on their stuff is coming out of Brian's equipment service maintenance. So that 13,000 for their maintenance is not included in this budget.
I think we need to look at what Brian's got listed in his budget for their maintenance on their software.
Yeah, so it's that CIC peopleware, if you were to go to Brian's budget. What was that?
We don't have to do it right now, but I think we need to dive into that.
Well, let's
There's
get
quite
a
a few
number
people.
so we can, yeah.
I get the concept of doing it with Brian, so we make sure things get paid. Kind of wish we could put a department number in front of it, so we know
Well,
whose
so-
departments he's relying.
We tried to kind of, that.
That's the
There,
one.
that one.
Mhm.
So $16,000.
16?
Yep,
Is that all of it though?
yes.
That's just
Computer
for-
information concepts, peopleware software.
And that went up about, 6,000 or 7,000.
Yeah, when they added the online searching stuff, yes.
That's right. So we not only paid for it, but then they recouped the money in the recorder's fund.
Yeah,
That,
yeah, I don't
I don't,
work that way.
I don't,
I mean,
Did
you
we
don't,
pay for the
you don't get,
software?
I think he paid the initial, but it increased our
Maintenance.
maintenance by that amount annually.
I mean, if you're collecting the revenue somewhere and paying for it somewhere else, that don't work.
and then we're having to pay to record something down there. That's what's,
Yeah, those are a couple things that I,
that's,
hopefully we can work with Judy on that.
yeah,
Get it-
that's left a bad taste in my mouth.
Be able to charge stuff, pay a bill once a quarter, or once a
Yeah.
month, or whatever.
And as far as any work that Rich Lazard does down there, it's coming out of 128 too. Fair?
I don't think so.
You don't think?
No.
Where's it going?
No, it's coming out of the recorder's trust, so pull up recorder's trust fund, June 24/11.
Oh,
So
okay.
they are paying.
Oh, no, that's,
go out
I'm
there.
sorry. Well, we
They are
used to-
paying Rich's stuff. Now, if it's something that, like, I think they replaced a server or something that Brian purchased for them, then he had Rich install it.
Where are they paying for Rich's
Well, I don't
stuff
see
at?
any.
200,
expense on that.
211. No, there, it's coming out of their recorder's trust.
Oh.
Rich's stuff is 200, 224.11.
Out of 220?
Uh-huh. It comes out of that,
Under
book
what?
and record preservation.
Oh, okay.
Well, I know Dale used to
So,
pay for
they
it.
will, when it click on activity,
So they're
Which
paying,
one? This
that
one?
one. That one.
they're paying for computer,
So see, there's
computer servers and other stuff out of book and record preservation. That don't seem like the proper category.
It's an open,
Well, so theirs has changed quite a bit. So book and record preservation was the name of it when you used to have all the physical books to look at.
that's what
And
the
it's
statute
evolved
said.
into, and that's why they've added that technology fee, is because it's evolved into a server that holds the scans and you're sitting down and searching. So book and record preservation is still the name of what they're doing, it's just no longer an actual physical.
Yeah, you can actually, when I wrote that, right, I pulled down those books, those things are big. Yeah, but you can, I love to just look at the handwriting, but most people are coming in just
Can we
pulling
add
it up.
maintenance in here at some point? I know it'd be nice and clean to have Dale, Brian, know all the different softwares that he has to help support. And that's why it's gone that way. Just so you guys are aware of it. I think we should recoup some of that.
I mean, so,
Well, I definitely think the online search fee portion of it, if you're collecting fees from the people that are using that service into this fund, then they need to pay for that portion of their software costs.
Mhm.
So if that's the 7,000 or whatever that saw the increase, that portion at least should be coming in from here. But I don't know about the entire entire thing or not, I don't know. I mean, if we pay for DevNet out of Ryan, or we pay for, so I don't know where you draw
But we
the
didn't,
line.
nobody collects a fee for it, what we've done for anybody else, or do they? Like a software or something that he's paying the maintenance for, DevNet, we're not collecting a fee from a vendor for somebody to use that,
No,
so,
yeah, I know.
So I think it's definitely something that we need to talk to Judy about and, you know, have some negotiations there and see if she would be willing to pay for
So,
those costs, out of the recorder fund. And then, obviously, one of the other things that I wanna talk to Judy about is, I think the online service is good. I like the convenience of it, but I don't think that we should be charging people to print on your own computer, so much per page. I mean,
Yeah, I've gotten more complaints.
so, I mean, obviously, if we're printing at their office, I'm good with charging them so much for a copy or whatever that may be. And
if you're using our printer and our
Yes.
paper and that kind of thing, I think a fee should be charged. If you're using your own at home, I don't know that you should be charged.
and you've already been charged to use
Yeah.
it.
Access the
Yeah.
data.
That's,
And so, I mean, and I think we just need to just revisit that. I mean, maybe we add a little more to the fee, or, I don't know, we can tweak that a little bit. I mean, obviously, you could get the same amount of dollars. I mean, I don't even know if we need to do that, but.
Right, I don't.
Anyway, and Jeff may know more. I mean, I don't know.
I don't think you should have to pay to use it. I mean, if you wanna use it one day or something, do you have to pay anything to come in here and pull that book down and use it?
I guess I look at it differently, like if you have a title company that's searching consistently,
Yeah,
I think that may be
yeah.
a fee.
I think that's a different,
But I think if it's a person that just wants to do some genealogy research or this or that, I don't know that we should be charging them to,
Or you
do
get
that.
free, 5 free visits to that site a year. I don't know how you keep track of
I
that.
don't either.
yeah, something along those lines. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Because
if you're using
you're
it more
actually,
consistently than that, then you
you're,
have
you're
to
saving
pay.
us from having to help somebody if you're able to go out and do it yourself, is the way I
Is
look
there
at
any
it.
valuable, records or anything there that, we need to be cautious of people getting into our information? I mean, all that's public record. I mean,
It should be
It's all-
public records, yeah.
yeah, it's all public record.
Well, I think that's some of the stuff they do is go and take social security numbers and stuff off of some of that stuff, don't they?
Adapt it up. I hope they do before they put it out there. I don't know. I've never really gone
I mean, that would,
Right,
that would
I
be
would
my
search.
concern, that somebody being able
Well-
to get into our system and, you know,
I think Judy's been in
act
touch
for
with some of the title companies and stuff, and she's got a grasp on what they're wanting to do. Hey, we got COTS already?
Hey, Tyler, how we doing?
Signatures.
Signatures?
Yes, sir.
Good.
Pass this off to Joe real quick and I'll be
Okay.
Did you sign the transfer?
I'm glad we got
I've
him.
set it up there. I don't know if
Did you
it's.
guys sign that transfer?
No, I didn't.
Good, you're not supposed to.
I know.
Why? It's just a transfer to pay for it. It wasn't a contract to buy them. So,
I'm
you're all
still
right
not
with
signing.
I
transfer.
wouldn't either.
You put that in the action for it or the PO, so I can sign that.
Chicken.
You gotta sign it.
It says nothing about Stryker on here, so.
It does too.
On here?
I'll put it in the comment section.
And the,
Oh! Somebody actually writes in the comments section.
I do.
Okay, so did you guys make some notes on?
Can we take a break for just a minute to get this
Yeah.
done so Jennifer can enter the PO?
okay.
So we,
I don't even have.
so we talked about, computer maintenance costs.
So we wanna talk about that one again? The
just-
software costs for her and no printing fee. And we wanna talk about the person,
Part-time, full-time.
part-time,
Yeah, I
full-time.
think we were gonna do that closed.
Well, so, I called her this morning, told her to get with Jill.
Okay,
They're gonna have some discussions and decide whether she needs it closed or not,
okay,
so,
okay,
we're good with the 5-minute break,
yeah.
Yes.
We're just gonna stay.
that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen, for,
Can you?
all right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thanks a lot, buddy.
All right.
All right.
stand up.
Thanks for,
Oh,
that's what you do. I mean, that's.
Oh, shit, I don't remember.
Jill, that needs to go to Jennifer to get a PO with her, so I can sign it.
Okay, and then I need to get the clerk to sign it.
Oh, shit. How much more longer we got? It's about nap
Sorry,
time.
it's gonna be a few minutes.
That's okay, thank you so much.
It's 5 till 11, so
Are we gonna be,
we're still on.
are they coming here to meet with us at 1?
yeah.
Yeah.
Cutting in my
Man,
nap.
you did all right?
Yeah.
Good, good.
So now what kind of cots did Cox use?
We had the strikers.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
just checking.
We went from the Furno, that old, it wasn't a power load, it was a power cot. You set it
Yeah.
yourself. Man, those old Furno power cots, man, they had like an engine on the dead thing. Just trying to get them into a house was just, needed 3 men and a baby just to get the thing in the house. And much less porch steps, things like that. But we went from the Furno power cot to the striker power load, which was just like your technology and handiness. I mean, it's just
Fucking lighter. Just, they're lighter.
Oh, lighter.
Yeah, that's,
So much-
that's,
You know, and of course you had a power load part, just loads of thing, which is just half of getting people conveyed to an ambulance to the house. You know, so the striker power loads it not only, but yeah, getting it in a house and getting it down a hallway and things like that. It's strikers much better.
That's why I couldn't be a paramedic either, because I'd just be like, there's no way I'm picking your fat ass up. You're gonna have to get your ass to the ambulance.
Yeah.
Put yourself away from the table.
I love it. I'm glad I didn't say anything. Matt would be like, what are you doing?
Oh,
Yeah, but I
yeah, we
appreciate
can pick
you
on
guys.
Matt now, can't we? Hi, Matt. You know he's listening. He has nothing better to do than listen to us, right?
That's right.
Senator Blunt's office. wants to say-
Oh, yeah.
Thanks,
I've
Alex.
met everybody,
Appreciate
so
you.
I wanted to-
Yep, very good.
Hi,
Hi, Chris Shepperly.
I'm Hannah with Senator Blunt's
Hi,
office.
very nice to meet you.
I think I talked to you this morning.
Yes, I called to see if you all would be here.
Jeff
Yes,
Elser.
you're here.
Nice to meet you, Hannah.
I just wanted to drop in, I know you guys are getting ready to go on break, and you have a full schedule.
No, we're taking a break right now.
Well, I just want to see how things are going in the county, all going well, I know y'all are wrapping up in the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, going pretty well. So, anyway, overall, good year. I think we accomplished a lot. Accomplished
Spent a lot of money this
next
year.
so.
That's a lot of money this year. Oh,
Yeah.
that's always a good sign.
Hey, we made a lot of enhancements and
Oh, that's
improvements,
good.
so
That's
I think they were good expenditures.
So federal grants, anything you can do to help us on support
Yes. the
is,
Heartland-
is,
Heartland
is good, because that's probably our big thing coming up,
Okay.
within the next couple of years. So any assistance we can get.
Okay, and now tell me where you guys are in that process. I know MoDOT approved the formation of the grant, and there's been a board appointed direct.
And we're waiting for the build grant, which is a federal grant.
So you're waiting to hear back?
We're waiting to hear back, so you have your office in DC call. Say, where's this $1 million?
Right.
Oh, yeah, for the port, part of the port.
Right.
Maybe that'll help.
Now, how's the discussion going on where to actually place the port? I know you have 2 sites you're kind of looking at here. Do you know if,
So we're trying to keep both sites open to possibly utilize them for different things. And so obviously, the north side has some issues with floodplain and different things. But there might be some things that we might be able to offload there.
And it's already being utilized.
Yeah, yeah.
That, the north side.
Well, actually, we have 3 ports in Jeff City already. I mean,
I didn't realize that.
none of them are actually a port authority, but, farmer companies have a port, with the permit, Stanley Gravel
Yeah,
has a
yeah.
port. And then OCCI has their own port, so, where they're offloading and unloading stuff, materials, and so
So we're looking at like container ships almost that are, you know, and we'll still have regular barges, but it's a whole new evolution of river boats that you'll be seeing.
So we do have our economic development team as a lobbying team, and so I think they have a state presence and also a national presence. And so,
Both of those things would be
yeah,
important.
strategic capital, Steve Tilley,
Okay, I read about that.
and Victory Enterprises. So obviously they have some contacts, but anyway, I had to reach out to you just to visit with you on that. And so just trying to utilize that the best we can.
Absolutely. And what's the next step for you guys now? Is it just waiting?
We're waiting for the bill.
And what's the backup plan for that? Has the state had any interest in appropriating anything for the project?
Well, obviously we think we need to build momentum with some of that. It's not gonna, we're not gonna come up with $60 million overnight
Yeah, no
to
joke.
build that. So anyway, so we need to create some activity. We need to reach out to local businesses and any business in this region that could possibly utilize that. And then when we met with Representative Becky Ruth up in St. Louis, she talked about possibly hiring a full-time director to go out and kind of talk to those people, just really do some groundwork. Right now, we don't have funding for that. And then the other thing was to acquire possibly some land, and so we're working on that capital with acquiring some land from the National Guard.
Yeah, because it's state property between the National Guard and the prison. So that area right there,
Yeah.
and then you have Militia Drive as your entrance to it. One thing is we have to put an pass over the railroad tracks. But they said, I think Union Pacific would actually give us some money for that because that's a terrible intersection of where you gotta go across the tracks.
Yeah.
And if you're on that side, you're trying to get out, and there's a long freight train, you can sit for a long time. General Danner talks about that. And so this will make it much safer.
That's good.
But you gotta buy the land from Danner, so. Yes.
This is a heck of a project.
Mhm.
It really is a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Good to know. Anytime that there's a meeting going on that you think would be good for us to be at, reach out. If Sarah or I are free, we can
Sure.
at least listen.
Yeah.
But,
You have a card?
I do.
Just,
Please feel free to
And
get
do you and Sarah both kind of work this area? Or?
We do.
Okay.
She's the district office director and I'm the field rep, so.
yeah, she comes to some of our West Central Commissioner meetings out there. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm gonna leave this one
Yeah.
as well. What was I gonna ask? Oh, how do people feel about the fuel tax situation around here? Other than sad, a lot of people. are
Well, I
sad.
think, but you talk to some people and they say, well, highway patrol shouldn't have been getting such a big portion. You know, I think it had a lot of things added to it. That people just don't want to pay more taxes, right?
That's too bad. I
Yeah.
saw Senator Blunt on Sunday, he said, be sure to let people know, I was pushing for that one to go through.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna have to do something to get some of that federal match.
Yes, that'll be a big problem.
Right. So, we
Yes, we are
could
straight.
potentially lose out on a
So
lot of
it's okay
dollars.
if that's what our check goes to,
Hopefully
is
they
that
can work on
name,
something.
and I put the like
Fix it at the
financial,
state level.
whatever
Maybe
the flex fee
Get
was.
that federal match, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good. How long have you all been doing
Like,
like?
yeah, but that's not.
I just won re-election in November, so I just finished the 4 years.
6 and Jeff's 10.
Yeah,
Nice.
Jeff's the old man.
He's the. You all
He's
know-
the young
Yeah,
man,
he's the
but the
youngest,
oldest
but
one
I'm old
here.
enough to be their
Yes,
fathers,
that's
which is
cool.
scary.
Well,
I went to high school with Chris's mom.
Oh my
Dad.
gosh, that's funny.
Yeah.
You all still like doing the
So
job then, I guess?
this.
Never a dull.
Let me just-
I
Never.
totally believe that.
People.
Some days.
Some days.
No, always, as long as you try to do something good for your employees or citizens of Will County, you know, it's always good, even though some days aren't always that much fun, are they?
I would totally believe that.
That comes with the job.
Yeah. You guys have anything you're about to go into here?
Well, we're in a meeting still,
We're
so
working on it, yeah,
we've been talking to you, we're
We're
just.
still up, so
break.
people are listening, so.
Yeah. Well, I'll let
They
you
didn't
go
say
and
anything.
get to it. But,
Hey, great, thanks for stopping
Yeah,
by.
absolutely. And do reach out anytime
Okay.
we can be helpful. We will right up the road. So
Yes.
I could be down here in
Yes.
30 minutes for something.
Okay,
Good to meet
great,
you all.
thank you, Hannah.
Oh.
You need a stand-up desk.
I do.
Yeah,
Very much.
I saw that out at the health department, that's,
But I want the whole thing.
I don't,
I don't want to say it down.
We talked, because they found those things for like $100 some odd, but it only brings your computer up.
Yeah.
I'm like, that doesn't do me a whole lot of good.
I need more than that.
How was Griffin's
So-
thing?
It was good. Good. Finance people. Ask Debbie.
No, they had a question on that, trying to get them answered.
Oh.
Yep, yep, yep. Hi, Shannon. It's okay. No, that's all right. I'm here with the
That's fine.
finance. And for Cole County, they have a quick question on the W-9. Do you mind if I put you on speaker real quick? Thank you.
Okay, usually when we get a W-9, that's the name that we use for the vendor that we're paying. You know, we may have a different remittance address, so, I guess your W-9 says,
Stryker Medical.
and that's who.
Okay, we do have a different W-9, which would be more reflective of the document, so it's gonna have the Stryker Finance designation on it. Do you guys just need it?
Sorry, Shannon, you're cutting out, but yes, can you just shoot me over a quick email? They need it.
Yeah, no problem. We'll send you that new W-9.
All right, if you guys can get it over, then we can get this thing closed up right here in
That'd
just a
be
couple minutes.
great.
Thank
I
you.
love it.
Yes,
Thanks.
ma'am.
Bye,
Thank
Chrissy.
you. Bye-bye. I'm sorry. I was just like, this is a new question. No problem. I didn't want to back it up like that. Wrong answer. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
how was the Terra Road,
I don't know, I didn't make it.
Oh, okay.
You just
Saw you,
realized.
yeah.
I wonder how many people showed up.
I would bet you most of them.
Desk.
By having it at Kim's school, I mean, you're right there, so
Right.
it would be,
Didn't have to go for
yeah.
Oh, yes. Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
it. Hopefully they can get that lady to get the right of way.
Yeah. Chris and I had an interesting talk with Matt Schofield,
Oh, yeah. Wow.
holiday pay and vacation pay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, how they do it.
So far,
But
they
they,
didn't want to take out
they
Spend another kind of money.
for,
And we're gonna talk about
for, you know, when they're working over the party, so. He knows, he knows the issue. And,
And they don't pay, like, everything over 40 is that time and a half.
Yeah.
12 hours of straight time over 40, and then the next 12 hours is that time and a half, so it equals out to.
I think it's a time and a quarter, yeah.
But they have different rules for fire. I mean, to
They
try to
have their
com-
own FLIS.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
We
They have
don't.
their own set that's completely
It's
different.
kinda like the sheriff has his, that lets us do that,
So to try to
compare that.
compare is hard.
I mean, they were trying to get legislation for them to be compared to fire workers and include them in all that, but it did not
Well,
pass.
And he said
It did
that
not pass.
that was the reason that EMS from Capital Region didn't want to go to the fire
Fire
department,
department, yeah.
because they have to be cross-trained to do both. And then they fall under those disabled.
Well, and plus their retirement fund was sinking, so they didn't want them to have to save their retirement fund.
So, I mean, I don't know, to me,
Which is why we're all paying the tax on that.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
They got that.
so what if we changed our holidays to be you get so many hours a year in holidays instead of so many holidays? And then everybody's the same. You get this many hours of holiday, and that's it. I mean, that's the concept
You
right
mean just
now.
that department?
No, that in general, instead of you, I mean, we're closed,
You could take holidays.
Well, yeah, we're closed on those days.
but we are closed those days, so
Yeah,
that's
see,
the
that, I don't
problem.
know how you could, yeah, I don't know how you could.
Like, I can't choose to come in and work that day and take a different day, we're not open.
People will try then, too.
Yeah. But in theirs, I mean, it is equal, you're earning the same total number of hours of holiday as I am.
We're all full-time people, you know, except for they work 2 days, we work 5, you know, so therein lies their benefit for having to take the whole 24 hours.
But in comparison, they're earning the same number of holiday hours as I am.
I mean, they're scheduled holidays, but they also have the ability to pick up shifts where nobody else does, you know. Oh. I don't care.
Obviously, some people are gonna work more hours in a year than others are. Some of that's gonna be mandated, some of it's unscheduled.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to go back and look, but I can guarantee you most people are gonna make more than that schedule. Flat out more than that schedule. Annual, you know, amount. Okay, so.
All righty.
what do we-
All right, thanks, sir.
GIS.
Sorry, guys. All done?
Nope.
Finished?
44, we're on
You weren't waiting on
GIS.
me, were you?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Thought y'all be done by now.
I'm kinda hungry. You got a lunch break?
I don't have anything ordered.
Are we
I'm
going
just
past-
teasing.
Are we going past noon?
Just go, I'm
We
just
got a
teasing.
meeting at 1.
Yeah.
So Melissa didn't have any changes, there's no big changes to the amounts in her budget. But we kind of did throw around the idea of possibly combining the GIS department and Brian's department into one. What are your thoughts on that?
So then Melissa would be Brian's boss?
No.
They'd be equal?
I,
No?
I think right now it's kind of like Melissa has her job and she does her job and she would still be the GIS coordinator, but when Brian needs help with a project or something, I think Brian's pulling her in, and at that point, he's kind of directing her a little bit. So, I mean, I think the person we're adding to Brian's department would be like a, IT technician or something, is the title we were talking about. I think we would leave Melissa's title to be GIS coordinator / IT.
What's the advantage of combining them? I mean, why would we even wanna mess with it?
It's easier for us because it's one department, but other than that, it probably doesn't serve a huge gain.
So is it that much of a
It's a-
easier though to have one?
They work well together, so
They-
that's not a problem right
They're
now.
gonna be in the
Right
same
now.
location,
Right.
right now they're crossing over to, approve each other's items. If they're one department, you know, they can still do that, but it's not like, hey Brian, I need you to go in and you gotta find my department in here, they're one department, they would be looking for the same information.
I don't think there's a problem right now, but
Could be later.
could be if, you know, if someone, if, say Melissa leaves and we hire a new GIS coordinator, they could say, well, that's not my job, I do this. So that, I think there's some value in having one department head with someone under them to have certain duties as a GIS coordinator, but then also as you add another person, so then you create a team that could work on stuff together. So, you know, now you don't necessarily have a choice to do something, they have, I'm directing you to do something. I don't think there's there'll be a problem with that, but.
It's just an idea that we can, I mean, as we were going through and talking about it, the one person department
Yeah.
seem a little strange. So if there's another place for them to fit into a niche, Bill Farr's different, his fund is funded differently. He's our other one person, but Brian and Melissa were two one people departments that it's like really they could be one.
But I mean, so you bring up Bill Farr, and I think at some point that could be merged into emergency medical service or something too.
That's enterprise fund versus,
I'm not
funded by
saying-
GR.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that one's a little more complicated and number one, just because of the funding mechanism of Bill at the moment. Half of his budget is funded by the feds, and then a quarter of that is funded by the city. That the accounting for his and trying to keep those expenses separate to bill them to those people, it's easier to see him by himself.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that we combine the funds, but I'm just saying at some point, that could be a subset to someone else. Just so that, I think there's some value there with Bill's assets and stuff to be, there should be someone over that should be emergency medical services. I mean, all that kind of encompasses together, but maybe not.
Yeah, the total concept of him working with the fire districts, him working with the city, him working with the sheriff, it just has worked better by himself, standalone, and then coordinate all this. If you drag him into one part versus the other, I don't know. Because everybody has to buy into this concept of emergency management. Everybody has to be ready for an event, you know, so, I mean, just think about that, I guess, if you want.
Well, but we're talking about the individual, and we're not talking about the position.
Well, I'm talking about the position.
Right, so.
I mean, because if you bring him into EMS, then he's considered an EMS person, you know, that position. Versus a standalone.
Coordinator.
Right, coordinator of all.
But as some of these people retire, you know, to bring someone new in that may or may not have a whole lot of experience, they're gonna need some direction.
Sure.
And who's gonna give them that direction? I mean, I just can't throw somebody in there and say, well, do it, you know?
Well, you might be surprised who you get to, you know.
And we might,
Yeah.
we might, but, so,
I get it.
just a thought.
And Bill,
I mean,
they'd probably stay on part-time just to get them up to speed, but.
And on these two, if you wanna wait till the move is complete, so then think about changing the budgets together.
I think it makes sense to put them into one department.
I don't know that middle of the year is gonna work.
Well, no, I meant the next
Yeah.
budget year
Yeah,
after that.
so, yes, so I would say either say it needs to be done now, or we can wait another year and do it end of next year once they've moved, I don't know. But this time of the year is probably started at the beginning of the year and do it that way the entire year.
I'd just keep them separate personally. I'm just one though.
Do you don't account for the time you take?
Morning, gentlemen and ladies.
Morning, Donnie. I judge.
Their function is the same,
Judge.
so really, I mean, it's more convenience of one versus two.
I think why it became its own separate fund is the commission at that point wanted to really see what GIS was costing us.
Well, and that was when we moved from the assessor into general, and it wasn't,
From the city, you know, and it was all new, really. GIS was new, not her.
So will we
hired
still be
first.
able to track GIS, I mean, or not
well,
necessarily?
not by itself, no, cause like you would see her telephone line and, I mean, it makes more sense, cause her telephone line and Brian's telephone line really are the same. Why are we paying for it out of, like, really, right now, we're paying for two phones in the same office from different places.
Right.
Equipment service contract, I mean, it would be the things we're paying for GIS to the city.
Okay.
Her meetings, travels, and dues, I mean, you can still pick out what meetings she goes to.
Right.
Office supplies, I mean, they're pretty much sharing at the moment somewhat anyway. Hers is
No.
like if she has the wide format printer or something like that. So I don't know, I mean, I don't know that there's a whole lot that needs to be pulled out separately is the problem. Like, what is it that you're trying to track from her budget that you want to see separately? Other than maybe her salary.
Could break it out pretty easy or look at history or whatever on what she's typically spent, I mean.
Well, the history would be gone if you put them together. I mean, not gone, it'd still be out there, but you wouldn't be looking at this one anymore.
Right.
You'd be looking at 120.
So yes, you would have to put up the activity in those lines and pick out the pieces that are Melissa's.
I mean, because truly, you don't get a true cost here either, because you have to add the capital that we bought.
Right.
And those are the contracts that we've had with the city to pay for part of stuff, so.
And then at some point, every so many years, we do a flyover and stuff like that.
It's not paid
So,
for out here.
You know, we're not paying for the aerial photography out of here.
Where's that coming from?
And maybe just our half or whatever we negotiate with the city.
Right.
Okay. I think we should combine them.
That's it.
Just saying.
Yeah, I think it makes,
Thanks a lot, Sam.
no, I had already said that
Your Christmas present
I had
has
already
just
said that I-
been sent back.
So-
I would
Returned.
ask one of you guys to talk to Melissa and just explain.
So
You started it.
I didn't start.
Hey, Melissa, if you're listening, y'all are being combined.
I think they work well
the plan
together.
would make it all under information systems. So
I think-
128 would be the department, not 126.
Okay.
So it would all be encompassed under information systems.
We should probably combine maintenance and public works too, because they work together once in a while. Keep going before I get in trouble.
Yeah.
He's been eating candy already. Suckers.
Oh, Lord.
Dude, I stopped after 5. I was ready. They've been in there so long, they're chewy. They're awesome.
You're like John.
They're like
we were- when
Skittles,
we were
man.
at
Were those
Mac,
dum-dums?
Yeah, they're like giant Skittles.
That
On a stick.
John was popping those coffee.
Oh, cough drop.
Oh, he was just popping
I
those,
know.
one right after another, and I'm like, oh my
That'll get me
god.
in us and having me that many cough drops.
So,
Okay, page
excited.
45.
127. General account. We kind of started this yesterday. So here's where you're gonna see, financials, or local use tax. We have not budgeted, like I said, the projection for this year is way higher than where we have been. We're not budgeting that. I mean, we're being very conservative with our figure just because we've seen the ups and downs of it. Same thing with stock insurance. So our stock insurance this year was way down compared to where we have been the last 3 years. We kind of left our estimate kind of right in the middle. We lowered it from where we were, but we did not drop all the way to where it was this year, but we also have not been budgeting where it has been. So we're very conservative with those estimates. If you want to change those, or, I mean, we could make stock insurance lower if we really wanted to. We could make local use a little higher if we wanted to, but I would not recommend either one of those.
did say this fund was balanced.
General fund is balanced.
Okay.
But we added.
I made some changes,
Yes.
but we'll look at those.
Okay.
And we will, so local use tax final payment, sales tax final payment should be coming in this week, usually by around the 7th or the 9th. So we will update to the actual here in just a few days on some of these, to what they actually are for the year. Any other questions with revenue?
Just on, health insurance, what is that?
Retirees.
So the retirees pay in their premiums and we pay them back out.
Okay.
So it just kind of passes through us.
Is that like a COBRA? I mean, they claim the full amount or?
Retirees.
Yeah.
There's actually more than active employees on all health insurance items. They pay the same on dental and vision as an active employee, other than they pay the cost of the employee. You know, when you're employed, we pay it.
Right.
Yeah, so we have quite a few people.
So we can't really offer them the benefit of getting the same rate as us, because then it's considered a benefit, and we would have to cost out what it would cost us to provide that benefit to everyone if they retire.
Okay.
So we offer them the service of supplying a health insurance, but they pay it at a higher rate.
Well, the state,
How,
What-
how is that determined?
It's the insurance company, they use the
The actuarial.
actuarial.
Okay. Based on their age and different things, or
Just based on our group.
just
and
based on our
then-
group plan?
yeah.
Okay.
regardless of their age. The state, when you become 65, then Medicare becomes your primary insurance, and the state
So
insurance
that is
becomes,
something we should
becomes
talk
your Part B.
Yeah.
That is something we should talk about. So right now, we don't have a restriction on when you turn 65 and become eligible, that we,
There's a different rate.
right, but we don't
We
make
don't.
them do that as their primary.
No.
So that is something to think about, that we may want to talk about, that being that you have to go to.
And I have talked to Joe about it before, about being able to offer supplements, you know, and different stuff like that. And we have such a low volume of people, I can't address that, but the only big thing is offering those supplements. They expect us to know all the benefits within each supplement. I technically haven't had the time to dig into it because we don't really have any. We have one person that would qualify, but in her mind, she doesn't want that. She wants full. So, yes, I could look into that in the future, but I would like to do the 65 and then say all you got is the supplement. You can't keep on, you know what I
You
mean?
can't do that.
I would
So
like
could
to
we
do
just
that.
stop it? I mean, once you're 65,
We don't offer insurance
We
any
can.
longer.
so just another follow-up on that, but, so if are they on our health insurance plan then?
Yes, they're on our bill.
So their expenses and stuff are being deemed possibly by their claims?
Sure, yes.
They're included in our group, they're just being
Right.
paid in at a higher rate.
Right.
And
So it'd
we're
be
not-
just like
And we're
any-
not paying it, they are.
Right, but it'd be just like any other dependent that would be, or any employee
They
that's
could
on the
have
policy.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think we definitely need to talk about that.
I mean, the price has always been prohibitive to where there's,
Well, right, but there's obviously enough people that are paying it that there's $45,000 of,
it's
Most of-
basically, it's dental and vision.
I was gonna say, most of those are dental and vision.
I have one.
okay. One of them that takes health, the rest of them are just dental and vision.
And we do have a few that jump on in Cobra
That-
for a couple months
Yeah.
or something after they leave, but most of the time we don't have people that are on there from the point of retirement on.
Yeah, and the Cobra goes in that spot, but I could be wrong. I had names up there, so I got it.
Okay.
Other questions with revenue?
So this whole sheet is revenue.
This, yes, 46 is all revenue.
Okay. So we're collecting from the other funds for these specific items like work comp and insurance and offensive
Yes,
supplies.
so
Those
work
are all
comp-
coming in from other funds.
Work comp is, yes.
Okay.
Insurance, I think is the railroad track or something.
that the other companies
The
are
other
paying?
companies pay into
Okay.
the insurance, the line that actually says insurance.
That's the rebate that comes back on it, if we get one.
Oh,
The
Oh, yes.
dividends and,
Yes.
okay.
Office supplies is the department, postage is the department, P-card rebate is obviously from the bank.
Okay, all right, that's curious, good.
So then expenses in 127, we kind of went through, or started to yesterday and didn't make it very far, so we talked about audit fee and economic development. Extension stayed about the same, animal shelter saw the increase by the CPI. Any other questions with 127? That capital improvement line will have the 150 for the port in there at the moment.
Just to touch on the work comp, you got 200 coming in and 258 going out.
So the employees in general fund, we don't get reimbursed back from anywhere.
Okay, so
So-
that doesn't include general fund employees.
Right, the 200 is all the other funds that pay back. And 2 copiers in there, and I think we're down to 1, right?
so EMS can pay for theirs and stuff, so we did it every other year, kinda did, I don't know, Matt's gonna grade it out. So. I might have to tweak that insurance line when we know what we got going on.
And cost allocation, we're now doing every 2 years, so 19 will be, they will do 18s in 19.
What is that?
It's the direct cost study,
Oh,
indirect cost study.
okay.
That we have to have in order to get the money from child support division and division, not much, but so.
And they also do kind of a costing for the jail for us, as far as cost per prisoner
And the cost of computerization that we charge the assessor.
Right.
So we got 1.6 million that we're gonna spend, and, or I guess we haven't done capital on that, or,
That hunter budget needs to be done back in there, because right now it's included in projected activity, like it would be paid out this year.
I put it up there, but I know it's hard to see. So that's why we're not balanced as of right now, for sure. But I didn't take it off of carry forward.
not following, so you put 1 point, 150,000. You put 1.5 million in there for capital, or?
No. The 1.5 was the health department building, we've spent that.
This is just.
But
the
included
board.
in that same line was the port agreement that I thought would be paid out before the end of the year, it doesn't sound like it will.
So there's no capital outlay coming out of this?
Nope, no capital outlay here.
Normally, there never is, except for when we bought the health department building.
Right, or we did the windows. I think it came out of receivership, but, anything else?
Just the, I mean, what kind of contingency, do we need to have in that fund, or is there a certain number that we're looking at? I mean, 15 or 20% or whatever?
We have the thing that Joy did a few years ago. I think 6 is where we really shoot for. Like, we wouldn't go below 6, but no, 6 is civilian.
That contingency or cash is, we often talked, I mean, is there some of that that's being invested? Or is this actual dollars or?
This is actual dollars right now, so, in the system, you will see that investment line in the assets, but it's not included in the revenue expenditure. So, like to balance the budget, the whole amount is in here.
Okay,
But on our asset side, you'll see a cash line and an investment line.
okay,
So yes, there is an investment currently, long-term investment in general,
right,
that's included in that eight.
okay,
That is invested currently.
right. So of the 8.3 million, there's, some of that's being invested or roughly?
Yes, it's either $1 million or $1.5 million of general.
Okay.
Same thing with health insurance fund that we're gonna talk about next.
Right.
There is an investment in there as well.
So you project the cash forward to be 2.4 million? Or 2.5 million?
2519 is where I was at. That could change, obviously, depending on what kind of claims we pay out
Right.
between now and the end of the year.
Where's that in general fund? I was like,
And kind of, I'll tell you kind of how I get to those figures is, Debbie pulls it up here. So we do some pretty good estimating as far as projected numbers. So if you take the amended budget cash forward amount, so where we started at the beginning of the year, and if we do a fairly good job of projecting revenue and expense for the year, you should be able to take the beginning of the year balance, so that 2,015,350, and then the number at the bottom of the projected column, that 504. See it? Or here. So this 504, 599. So if you take that plus this, it should be what we're coming up with here. And that's assuming that our projections are fairly close. If something happens that significantly changes your projection, then that number will change as well. But when we submitted it to you, we were fairly confident with our projected numbers. So kind of like today with the COTS, the 122 was not included in the projection amount, so it has a significant change in what the balance will be.
Okay.
A few of those this year, didn't you?
Few of those.
Enhancements.
And obviously we're doing well with our insurance fund. It's been a great thing, so.
So real quickly, we did put the 50,000 for employee wellness.
Mhm.
You guys are good with that? I know they presented that plan and everything, but we did put 50,000 in there.
did I miss that? Was that last week?
I don't know if Jeff's good with it.
They were
What we
coming.
ever said.
Yeah.
I'm not against it.
Well, she came before and talked about
Yeah,
all the
she was,
things.
yeah, 50,000.
I just,
Bethany's gonna work on him.
I didn't even get inside the health department yesterday before she said, you can't bring soda in here. And then I get to the table and everybody around there was staring at me having a soda around the healthy kids, healthy community, or healthy schools thing. It's like, oh my goodness.
Okay.
All right, I'm a poster child.
Next
Do
is
not be
information
like him.
systems.
Yeah, she's gonna have a work cut out.
Oh,
It
some.
Information systems.
could help our insurance too, though, so. Oh, sorry, where are we at? IS,
Page 50.
IS, which is no longer IS.
It is still information systems.
Yes,
I thought we just combined them.
it's just not GIS.
I know. There will no longer be a 126 GIS. There will be, it will all fall under information systems.
Well, the
'Cause I
power
would
Brian's gonna
consider
feel.
GIS an information system, geographical information system.
I feel bad for not fighting harder for that.
The big
Hey,
change.
can we maybe talk to them and make sure they're okay with it? Make sure they don't have any qualms about it?
Yes.
That's why
Yes.
I'd like you guys to talk. So.
We have not changed anything yet, so yes.
Okay.
I definitely think that that
And
is.
just, I mean, it may not change anything, but
Right.
maybe they'll have a
making
Good
notes
argument.
at the moment, to be like, this is what we.
Let's set a meeting and have them come up here and talk
Yeah.
to us.
I we can shoot them an email and say, hey, we're looking at doing this. Do you have anything you wanna bring up? Are you opposed to it? If you're okay, no need having a meeting.
I did kind of talk to Brian a little bit, just because it would be going into his and making sure I have not talked to Melissa.
He'd have to get some new shirts made though.
The sheriff could pay for them.
All right, you better move
So,
on.
big change in IS is this is the one department where we added a full-time employee. I did get a commitment from the sheriff to pay $30,000 of that employee salary. And it's coming out of the transfer amount that we make to the law enforcement fund, so it's reducing that transfer by $30,000. Thoughts, ideas, yes, no, talk about it later when we talk about salaries, that's the big change in this department.
I know we can use some help. I mean, that's obvious because we got Rich doing a lot of stuff. So are we better off contracting with somebody to do stuff like we do with Rich?
Am I doing that PO for just the 1 year amount or for the full amount?
The 1 year, the 1 year.
Okay, thank you.
Or do we need to have another?
I think my concern with their department is that some of the things we're throwing onto Brian are large projects and undertakings that are not going away. The health department moved, the move from him to over there, the replacement of all of the servers, I think that there's a lot more planning of things that need Brian's time that was just taking away from the day-to-day installation or helping of an email issue or things like that. That there's a lot more discussions that need to be had with someone about the overall system. So the little things aren't getting done.
So, go ahead.
He does a remarkable job.
He
And he's
does.
never stressed. You know, I think if I had all that thrown on me, I'd be,
And he's
I'd be
always
stressed
moving
to
to
the-
try to get done
Yeah.
everything that needs
yeah,
to get done.
he's doing an amazing job.
I'm typing an email, so I'm not really saying
So,
Thanks.
Being honest.
but, I mean, do we need a,
I'm talking one too, it's
an
work.
IT person?
It's work.
Or do you need a body that can put computers together to carry them somewhere and stuff that we're paying Brian to do the IT stuff and he's doing a lot of other stuff that we could have I don't wanna make it too low of a position to say that. It's just, we just need somebody there. You need a body, you need somebody to hand him stuff. I mean, even in work I do, I mean, I'm the one turning wrenches, but it's so nice if you have somebody that's handing stuff to you and you can stay focused on what you're working on. So, what kind of person are we looking at here? Are they gonna do stuff more along the lines like Rich is doing, or is it gonna be somebody just a right-hand man?
I think there's some skilled people that could not only wipe the hard drives clean, do various things, probably have some skills to do some programming, some
And he can teach
fixes. Yes, yeah.
So,
I think what we
Entry
put
level.
in the budget was like what we considered an information technician one. So someone that
how
has
much was
the-
that?
Yeah, that has the knowledge and
So-
stuff, but maybe that we teach to do our stuff.
So you're saying around 30,000 is what y'all put in there?
I don't know.
34, I think.
I think we were 40 something,
Cause you said John's putting in 30?
and then that 30 is
And
for the
40.
benefits and stuff.
48.
48 is where we were. And that was comparable to a state job that Brian pointed out. So we went to the state's website and he had a couple of different names that we looked up where they were.
I'm okay with it as a placeholder. I mean, I think we see what we can get for, maybe advertise it position. Maybe have some wiggle room there, you know, maybe start at 30 or 35 and, you know,
And,
we
I
could
mean-
obviously have
I
some.
don't care if we do 50 and we eliminate some stuff that we're contracting out. I think we need to do one or the other. Let's get it, let's have it all in-house, or let's subcontract more out and have somebody come in when we need them.
And so I'm okay with that concept too.
I think there are a few things that'll still have to be
Right.
contracted.
But I mean, if we're gonna do that, some of these other funds you're paying for those services, so we'd have to figure out an hourly rate to charge those funds to pay out of those other funds.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And the way we can present it is, we're actually gonna save them money. We might be able to do it for less by having our own person in-house. And I may be totally wrong, because IT stuff is
Right.
just, it's way over my head. I do good to get my phone logged on. I guess, I don't know, there's some,
But I mean, there might be some issues with certain people knowing certain software and different things, and so there might be that learning curve as to, I mean, the computer stuff, I think.
Yeah, general IT,
Yeah.
yes.
The software part may be a bigger issue, but, I mean, I could be totally off on that too, but.
but I think I know what,
you're.
I think I know what you're talking about, though,
Yeah.
is having certain programs. But that's the part I wanna get away from, is if somebody says, look, I'm retiring tomorrow, or I won the lottery and I'm gone. Well, what about our computer system? Not my problem.
Right, somebody's gonna have to learn
Then,
anyway.
then we're sitting there with our hands, tied. We're like, oh crap. So
So,
it's, I think put a placeholder in there.
I
Maybe
think-
let's talk to Brian about it some more. And
yeah, I'm thinking maybe leave it where it's at right now. When we talk about salaries, maybe we need to dig into that position and make sure that we think we have the right number in there.
So, I mean, with the position, is it because all this stuff is happening at once? The move to the health department, changing out some computers and stuff is overwhelming?
I
So we
think
need,
it's just the fact that we've added a lot of technology in the last couple of years. And I think that Dale was gonna get to the same point. I think it just, Ryan has enhanced it with some of the other things like the move and,
I
I
take
think-
it as a personality difference between the two, that Brian's willing to take on more and to help everybody solve their problem and to learn the whole system. Where Dale was, okay, you handle this, or you, I mean, I'm just saying, difference in personality. I think that's what it is.
yeah, Brian says yes too much. We need to teach him to say no. I'll take care of that.
So I'm good here, I wanna jump back.
Yeah.
So,
So, well, yeah, so I mean, we'll have to go back in the book, but we gotta do something about HR. I don't know if that's under commission, where that's at. We have got to either hire a consultant, we're too big to keep doing HR. Debbie doesn't have the time, or the resources, or the knowledge, and I'm not being mean.
Oh, no, I agree.
So, we need to address that, because it's gonna bite us here in the near future by not having a source to go, at least ask questions, or, I mean, we gotta get our handbook done. I mean, that's maybe a separate task that we can hire
I
somebody.
thought the
to do.
handbook was done. It's just sitting on somebody's desk for
touched.
review.
It's been sitting there for 5 years,
We haven't done anything with it.
and it was done. I mean, and it was done by an HR person.
But it needs to be updated
Yeah, things,
continuously.
Yeah.
things have changed in 5 years. It's-
I mean, so, but the problem becomes is that as we address personnel issues, hiring, firing, whatever that may be, we need to be consulting, not only with our attorney, but with somebody in HR to make sure that we're doing things through the right channels. So, I think that's kind of
The manual, writing job descriptions, doing, training for all new employees for harassment. I mean, it's definitely, I kind of push that out to the departments to do, but whether it's getting done, you know, that's. And the hiring and firing, you know, the right questions to ask, not ask, you know.
So let's add that to personnel when we talk about it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm,
Okay.
yeah.
I just didn't wanna forget about it.
Nope,
So,
nope, I wrote down. Building maintenance,
Thank you.
So do we need to put the handbook policy manual on the agenda and have it a standalone thing? If we gotta sit here all day, go through it and get it done? Are you wanting to make some wholesale changes to it, or you want to have something generic and a template and I mean, it's a living, breathing document. We can always
I think
change
we're
things.
approaching that we need to add quite a few things to it as far as HIPAA and, use of computers and.
I don't feel like this group would even know what to change. I mean, we might know a few things.
Yes.
I think we know the high level things.
I think we'd know what the county is like, you know,
Yes.
what would work and what could work and what should work here. But
We need
the
someone.
legal terms and all the other stuff would
But
be, yes.
an HR professional, that's what they do for a job, would come in and look at our handbook and say, here's your holes.
Yeah,
Here's
the
your
things
things
we're
that we
missing.
need to address, and they may already have the document that we could tweak to insert.
Right, and county government is so different than a regular HR person working in an industry. It's different.
You can't do a policy handbook that's gonna address everything unless you just have one rule.
You don't want to.
Don't do anything stupid. So, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, but I think just some of the stuff we can, the HIPAA things, those are some new stuff with the ambulance. I think those are, I think Matt's got his written up that should address those types of things. I don't know
And,
if
and
that.
that's the concept. Do you want one book that has all the departments stuff in it? Or do you want one, which we have now, basically one that's kind of general, it's a
Now you're
broad
making it
thing,
even more difficult.
and each department has their own.
Which
And
I
that's what
think
she
right
was
now,
doing.
most of the larger departments do have their own.
That's right.
Well, let's set up an
One
agenda
broad
just to talk
covers.
about the policy handbook, manual, whatever, because we can probably talk for an extended amount of time about it. Maybe sit there and go through it and say, this is, we might as well throw it in trash, start over, contract somebody to write it or.
I don't know if we
I
have
would
the
like to give that
expertise
person the one that I had
to
given
do
her,
that.
Right.
because it was written.
Well, I think there's general policies for all county employees.
Right.
And then there's more stringent policies for EMS employees,
That are
for
more
sheriffs.
specific
Yes.
to their
But-
trade or
But ours
department.
needs to say, see your department for
Right.
more information, see your
Right.
See
department.
rule number 1, don't do anything stupid.
Well, health department,
Common sense.
health department, the
That is
HIPAA's, I mean, it's not just EMS.
Right, health, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, so there's all kinds of
It's-
issues that
She said-
could address.
You know, I follow that, I follow the rule, but I don't.
Example of-
I try to,
Can't understand you.
but sometimes
Lately?
things get ahead, you
Do what I
know.
say, not what I do.
You know when you fall down because your legs got in front of your body, you're just running and you just fall.
Okay, building maintenance.
My brain's not
Page
always
52.
kicked in.
Yeah,
That's under public works.
No.
Stop it.
So,
Come on, let me have fun. This is budget.
When does Greg come back? Do we want to kind of?
Greg who?
Well, he didn't have any issues with.
No, he
what
told me he
you-
didn't.
Okay, because he was one that we didn't talk to yesterday and didn't hear from, so.
Any major changes here?
No, nothing major. You will see that the, utilities at the health department obviously went up quite a bit. New building, we're still paying for the old building.
Right,
You guys need to decide what you're doing with that
Right.
old building.
yes.
That would be good.
What are we doing about the grass cutting stuff?
Yes,
Have we?
that is another one.
I got 2 things. We kind of talked about contracting it out
Mhm.
completely. I also had one person talk to me about if they bring in their equipment, they can get it done twice as fast. So if we pay them to use their equipment, rather than us going and buying, some other equipment. I've not gotten any kind of proposal, but I can talk to them too and say it's budget time if you're still interested.
So he did have in
Is that for
his
an
capital
employee
list
or?
So-
some mowing equipment.
It's just like, the guys out at Public Works that are working on the trucks and stuff, and they bring their tools, and don't we pay them some kind of tool allowance on that? So this would be, basically, we're paying them rent on their equipment. They take care of it, they go home, they clean it up, and they take care of the hourly stuff that they gotta do.
So
Just an idea.
Right. So my thought was is to try to, Greg had some mowers and a trailer and different things that he had on his capital. My thought was to scratch all that. He's got a mower to take care of what we have now, but to maybe try with the new health department to contract for that service, to free up time for Greg and them to do other things.
He's still gonna need a trailer to get back and forth with,
Got
and
a
a mower to
trailer.
move snow.
He's got a trailer. Or sitting on a trailer now. Isn't it, Danny?
He does have trailers.
Or he's using somebody else's, or I don't know.
No, there's a trailer out
It's
at
just-
EMS.
Okay, that's what I thought.
What I understood was it wasn't big enough for the
New
blower thing that he needs to borrow from wherever, so, or that we have here. I don't know.
For snow removal?
Yes.
That maybe, it's not a very big trailer, it's just the lawnmower size
Right.
trailer.
Anyway, I mean, I'm open to other options there too, but I mean, if we have guys spending, you're gonna, mow grass 30 weeks a year, and so whatever time that takes, 5, 6, 7 hours a week, I mean, that's time that they could, they'll still have to spend some time to do some of these other properties, but then that would free up time for them to take care of the buildings themselves. We've always, I think he's been short a person for quite a while. Has he ever filled all his positions?
Should all be full.
Okay.
Just not what.
He just
Try that
doesn't have
person.
a second in command or an
No,
HVAC
yeah.
person, but he has all of his positions filled, cause he finally took that higher paid position and filled it with
Okay.
a lower paid one.
I mean, obviously, we got more building now with the new health building. So, I think it's just gonna stretch you thin, so
What did we pay to cut the grass out there at the health department? The new. Oh,
It was like 125 a week.
yeah.
Who was that vendor?
I don't remember who that one was. And didn't we just pay some for some mowing at the parks?
We did, that was,
It's supposed to be a one-time deal.
they did that a couple times just to
I think it's twice.
take care of that. That was Sam Gaines that did the park, and it was, who was it that did that?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't
so-
remember who the health department one was.
I guess I should have stepped in here.
It's a lot of grass. It's a whole new health department.
But they seem to do a pretty good job. They've been doing it before.
So didn't we do a bid at one point of what it would cost us to contract out all of our mowing?
Yes.
It's been a while back.
Yeah.
I think that might have been before Sam.
Property
Yeah.
that we don't have.
Do we think that maybe we should bid that again since we've gotten rid of some properties?
I get Public Works on board. I thought it was reasonable, but,
I mean, cause we do have the 18,000 that we pay from parks to Road and Bridge for the mowing and upkeep at the parks, which we need to talk about, cause
No idea. Get that outsourced.
no worries.
Well, it's right at 12
Well,
o'clock.
Let's,
Yeah.
let's push through planning
it on, cause Jeff's fault.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm here.
I don't know that, the two changes that they proposed in planning, I think are somewhat fluff. I mean, the public notice, the $200 that we've spent once in the last 5 years, I think that's something we could pay out of 127 if they do have something they need to publish.
Well, we just gotta remember that if it comes up, we took it out because
Yeah.
we really never use it.
Yeah.
But do we wanna leave it in there in case we do need it? And then it's there, which is gonna be is it gonna be a problem to transfer the money?
I don't think it'll be a problem to transfer the
So-
$200 that it would cost us if we did have one come up, but my problem is that it always looks kind of funny to budget a line that we don't ever use. I mean,
We get commented on
I-
that.
yeah, I
From the
get
auditors.
dinged for, yeah.
Then why don't you just take it out?
And then the other one that
Yeah, I
they
think that's what she's saying, so she just,
mentioned was their vehicle equipment operation. I mean, it's not any different than any other department. You're gambling on, you're hoping that you don't have problems with your vehicles, and if you do, you're gonna be under $1,700 with it. If you do, it's gonna be a major problem, and you're probably most likely gonna have to transfer money anyway. So I think that the 7,500 gives them that $1,700 cushion. If they have something else that comes up, we're gonna have to know that
so
it just was unlikely.
the $10,473 number, where did that number come from? I didn't ask him exactly.
Joyce likes to,
So does she take like as much activity as she's had and then say, well, we got 3 months left and then divide that up?
She's very
and
detailed, yes.
she's very detailed, but she
Okay.
also likes to pad or cushion herself to make sure that she doesn't have to come back and ask for money.
Well, this isn't one of them that we can go to them and go, well, you should have just been doing this and you'd been okay. If you have to have tires, you have to have tires. One of the things you said was a $1,500 air conditioner replaced this year.
Right.
That they didn't foresee. So if we're at 7,500 and they spend it all and come in and say, well, we need an air conditioner needs done,
Yes, it needs to be done.
okay.
But she's also been in the days where we got our butts chewed if we needed to ask for a $100 transfer.
But we do that because that's who we are.
But we don't like to hear that.
You gotta do that around Christmas time, so we're all jolly.
Exactly.
I mean, I think that a $1,700 cushion gives them a fair ways to go if they would need to replace the whole truck's tires or
Well-
possibly even two.
But if you know you need tires, then I think maybe we can put that on Larry at this point is go look and see if you need tires, cause that you can kind of
Buy 'em
prepare
right now.
for.
Everybody's needing tires, how we ought to make a,
But, you know, an AC or a transmission,
them
that's
all.
different.
Right.
Those just go out. Tires, you can
Right.
plan for. So I'm fine with your number on this one. And if we want to tell Larry, look, if you know you're needing 4 sets of tires,
Come tell us now
we need
so
to,
we can put it in.
yeah,
Well,
we
he
probably need to increase it a little bit.
he needs tires, Bullfar needs tires.
What is the rent lease payment? Is that
So, when we pulled planning out of Road and Bridge, we kind of determined what we use of their space and utilities and things, and we pay them to house our people
Okay.
out there.
That's going back into Road and Bridge?
Yes.
We'll just tell Shannon we're getting him a moped.
And that
Or
may,
those scooters, yeah.
that'd be maybe one that we may want to reevaluate at some point. I
You
mean,
been out
it's
there riding those a day?
been that way, that amount for a while now. We may want to
Just bring my
do a
helmet.
look at it and make sure that's still a good number. But it was based on square footage, which hasn't changed, but utilities may have increased a little bit.
Did you read that this morning? It gets done in there and Ashley's like, well, make sure you wear a helmet because you have to ride them on streets, not to,
Yeah.
they go like 15 miles per hour and you gotta be safe. And then you open up the next page and there's a picture of one of the staff riding one without a helmet. So that's great.
Okay, do we want to stop there? We made it through general government and start with
So-
health and welfare tomorrow?
We're gonna leave it at 7,500 then?
Yeah.
Are you good?
Yeah, and we can still talk.
Well, I mean, I said my piece.
I put
Yeah.
tires down, so I can
Yeah.
call him and ask him if he could look to see if they need tires.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, their department's one of the ones least worried about.
Are we good stopping
Good.
there today?
All right, whose turn to buy lunch? Pie.
Quickly.
All right, we can turn this off and stand recess.
So,
Recess.
we're only going till noon tomorrow, and there's quite a few things that have been added to the agenda first, so we're gonna have.
Got next week too, right?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
got-
so we may wanna talk about next week, maybe doing a full day one day, so that we can knock out some stuff, because we're gonna be, I mean, it's probably gonna take us tomorrow to get through, and that's if your meeting doesn't take very long. I think we can get through most of the rest of the book, and we haven't talked about some stuff at all.
so we have Tuesday, we don't, right now, we don't have a big agenda for
I
Tuesday.
don't think we're scheduled to do a budget thing on Tuesday.
But I know, but I mean, if we're here anyway, we just went into, just stayed and,
Or if you
I think
wanna
we
go
just-
longer tomorrow, I don't know if we can still do that, right?
I made plans.
I don't think we can.
yeah. I
After
did-
lunch tomorrow, so I'm gonna, at noon, I'm pretty much running,
I think we're good.
so.
I think
We
we
doing
just
1 o'clock
plug
thing
away,
now?
like, we got two days next week or 3 days?
I think it's only Wednesday and Thursday,
So,
12th and the 13th.
What about Tuesday?
Shit, I thought we had Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Add what? Just the
Well, we-
budget to the agenda? Just put it on there.
Yeah,
We're-
just-
We're good till
just-
noon. If you need a couple good hours, I mean, tomorrow, just, we're having a shiny little object that used to be up here.
I want you to be aware that the things that are on the agenda tomorrow, we can't talk about forever, so that we only have an hour tomorrow. So be aware that we've
No.
added a lot of things to the agenda, but we need to make sure we move along.
What's on the agenda
Hey,
tomorrow?
if we get
It's
out of
gonna take a
line, you
while.
just line up, let's go.
You need to give it to me, and I should have had it yesterday, so I could have thrown it at you.
Ooh,
Yesterday.
so do you want me to
Was I a pain
turn that
yesterday?
off now, or?
Again?
No,
No.
no,
we stand in recess till 1 o'clock.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yesterday?